Your take, sir, on what was announced yesterday, is that going to be enough? Is that as much as Hong Kong can afford? Or if the situation deteriorates, can we expect more?
Well, there's never going to be enough. But I think, fortunately, Hong Kong has a good, strong fiscal reserve, and certainly we can afford it. It's never been done ever in Hong Kong. I mean, obviously, like you said, it was an $18 billion package, but it's not just $18 billion. Together with what was already spent earlier, plus the budget, what was already in the budget, the whole thing, the whole economic relief package is almost like 10% of our GDP, so close to $37 billion. So that's a huge amount of money. And again, like what you said, what was announced yesterday was, including in that package yesterday, was a $10 billion pay subsidy scheme, what we call employment support scheme, basically to help the employer to pay the employee, because the last thing we want is to have massive layoff. So basically what was announced yesterday was to help the employer to think twice before they start to, start with the redundancy and so on, because obviously you can imagine the economic forecast is very, very bad. So many companies are looking at ways to trim their workforce or to downsize. So this is one thing. The whole purpose of yesterday's package is to give a lifeline, hoping that people can keep jobs. So the focus is job retention and hopefully some job creation too.
Yeah, Mr. Chan, you're a businessman yourself, so you do understand that time is of the essence here. Cash is king at the moment. We're moving in some cases from a liquidity problem to a solvency problem for many businesses out there. What they're wondering, they heard what happened, the headlines yesterday, how soon will the government be able to actually deliver?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, in Hong Kong, we're a due process, and the money needs to be approved by our legislature. But I hope that our legislators, even with the differences there, between different camps, they will understand this is such difficult times, and we can't really play around with politics. So we hope that we're going to the bill will put through to the Legislative Council, and hopefully they will pass in time. We want to give out our first batch of money by June. We intend to give out the money in 2 batches, 3 months interval. So the first one we hope to aim at June, because, like you said, many companies can't wait forever, and we need to give them the certainty that the money is there coming. But the problem is that's why some people might criticize that the way how we give out money. If we're going to put in some more mean testing, and if we go try to figure a fancy way to give to the right people, the right recipient, that will take forever. So the approach that we did now is a much easier, broad-based, so everyone gets it, whether you're a large company, small company, you're all entitled to apply. Now, obviously, you can choose not to apply, but we want to make it easier so that the money can get out there faster.
Mr. Chan, Tom here in Beijing. Do you expect another package of measures will be needed, or is this going to be enough to tie over Hong Kong?
Well, the package announced yesterday, especially the pay subsidy, is meant to last for 6 months. Now, so hopefully, we give 6 months a lifeline to companies. Now, how would this whole COVID-19 evolve? Nobody knows. I mean, I think if you're looking at it right now, I think Hong Kong is relatively okay. We managed to contain the first wave. Now we're dealing with the second wave. The second wave are all the returnees, students or residents of Hong Kong coming back from Europe and UK and US. Those places are very problematic right now. So it's the faster they can contain the virus overseas, the faster I think Hong Kong will back in order. But right now, I think it is definitely needed for now for the next couple of months, 6 months. But we'll see what happens after that. I mean, I think if the situation continues to deteriorate, I'm sure not just Hong Kong government, every government have to step in to do more.
Should further steps be taken to increase the lockdown in Hong Kong, as you say, to get that virus under control and these additional waves of infections under control? Do we need more measures now?
Yeah, well, Hong Kong have done quite an impressive job so far. I mean, even after almost 3 months, the cases are still below 1,000. And so far, we use the step approach, We didn't go to a full lockdown from day one. We've been quite measured, one step at a time. Where we see a problem, we close it. We see a problem, close it. So far, that's why so far in Hong Kong, considering with the proximity to the mainland China, we still have no full lockdown. I mean, we're only closing, certain types of bars and things like that, and we still allow outdoor in dining. We still allow that. But if things continue to deteriorate, and it also depends on how the virus being contracted and spread. So we'll fix it one at a time. If there's going to be an outbreak in certain areas, let's say in dining, or dining in the restaurant, then maybe we'll close that and turn into takeout only. So there's still steps we can use, but we don't want to rush into a full lockdown because obviously there's an economic cost to it. And I don't think everyone would agree. If you talk to a health expert, they will tell you a full lockdown for 2-3 weeks will be the ultimate solution. But the trouble is, if it's just 2-3 weeks, I think Hong Kong people can afford it. But how do we know for sure it's 2-3 weeks? If it's longer, then the economic cost to everybody will be huge. So I think we still have time. We still have measures we can use.
Yeah, Mr. Chan, apologies to interject there, but isn't this a health problem first and an economic problem second? In other words, what I'm trying to ask here as well is why not Hong Kong just take the economic pain right now and make sure, according to health experts who I believe we should be listening to right now, take it to extreme levels earlier before it gets too late? Your thoughts, sir?
Well, I think, so far we still manage this thing pretty effectively. I mean, obviously, we don't want to be complacent about it, but Singapore have many more cases than Hong Kong. I mean, obviously, they've gone one step ahead of us now. Even for them, they didn't go to a full lockdown. They still keep essential services open, but they have, I was told that now they're over 1,600 something. So we're still below 1,000. So I think if required, we can definitely step up, but I don't think we want to jump right into it. But we are prepared, though. I mean, not saying that we are not.
Okay, final question, sir. You're both in politics and also in business, of course. You're also on the board of Cathay Pacific. How does an exit plan look like at the moment, the path to reopen the economy?
I think this is going to be a huge challenge. I think what you just said about closing your borders, lockdown, quarantine, those decisions are a very tough one. But lifting those quarantines and those restrictions even much harder, because how you know for sure that it's safe enough for you to reopen? I think so the exit plan is I still think is many months away, because how do we know for sure that there will no more returnee coming from? We're talking about right now only resident, non-resident. We're still closing. So how can we be safe? How do we know for sure that the rest of the world is safe enough for us to welcome them back? So I still think it's many months away before we can even talk about, return back to normalcy.